I know nobody likes me. Why do we have to have a holiday season to emphasize it?
Unfortunately, this does not happen every day. I studied art in a correspondence course because
I feel depressed. I gotta rock.
Remember those lines? We grew up on them. Soft jazz, shaky voices, and that little wooden tree that somehow made us tear up. But the truth behind those specials? Way stranger than we ever realized. One scripture nearly got banned from TV. One Halloween gag made viewers mail candy to a cartoon kid. One shiny aluminum tree fad died overnight because of a single scene.
And its creator, Charles Schulz, was making around $40 million annually.
And one Thanksgiving dinner, it swapped turkey for toast, popcorn, and jelly beans. These are 30 of the strangest peanut stories nobody talks about. Stay till the end. The bonus fact flips everything you thought you knew about Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown Christmas, 1965. Fact 1, the primetime Bible reading almost didn't happen.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!
You know that moment when Linus stands on stage, blanket in hand, and quietly reads from Luke? Gives you chills, right? Well, that scene almost didn't make it in. Back in 1965, TV execs thought religion had no place in primetime cartoons. Charles Schulz didn't flinch. He said it stayed or no show at all. And thank goodness. As a kid, I remember sitting cross-legged on the living room carpet, tree lights flickering, feeling like Linus was speaking straight to me. It wasn't flashy, but it was powerful. Imagine being one of the millions of families hearing scripture on network TV for the first time. It's rare, unfiltered, and that simple delivery still makes Christmas feel more real than any fancy production ever could. Fact 2, Coca-Cola was literally in the show, then erased.
Christmas is coming, but I'm not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel.
Here's something odd. Coca-Cola wasn't just a sponsor. It was literally in the show. In the 1965 broadcast, characters paused with little cues tied directly to Coke. Talk about product placement. Later, those bits were quietly snipped out for reruns, almost like Coke had vanished overnight. I still remember sitting with my dad, a Coke bottle sweating on the coffee table, while we watched Charlie Brown shuffle around. It's funny how those old sponsor cues were part of TV life back then. Brands slipped right into the story. Today, if you watch the restored version, you can spot the edits. It's like opening a time capsule and realizing even Charlie Brown couldn't escape the fizz and clink of America's favorite soda. Fact 3, it helped kill the aluminum Christmas tree fad.
Oh, everything I touch gets ruined.
There was a time when everyone wanted shiny aluminum Christmas trees.
So it's interesting, all of these branches seem to be the same size.
They sparkled under those big hot bulbs and looked like something out of the Jetsons.
The original color wheel that they sold separately.
But then Charlie Brown walked into that lot and picked the little wooden tree instead. That one simple moment, rejecting the flashy fake option, changed taste across America. Families started ditching aluminum, and by the late 60s, the fad was dead. I still remember visiting my aunt's house and seeing one of those silver trees with the rotating color wheel. It felt cold, almost like a robot holiday.
This really brings Christmas close to a person. Fantastic.
After the special aired, even she went back to pine. Funny how a cartoon reminded us that sometimes the smallest, barest tree carries the biggest heart. Fact 4, CBS executives thought it would flop.
I didn't send you a Christmas card, Charlie Brown.
Here's a wild one. The people who paid for a Charlie Brown Christmas thought it was a disaster. The pacing felt slow, the kids' voices too raw, and there wasn't enough sparkle. CBS was ready to pull the plug, but had promised Coca-Cola they'd air it.
Sent the outline to Coca-Cola, and they got it on Monday, and on Tuesday they called up and said, let's do it.
Coca-Cola liked it and authorized the special.
Imagine that. What became a holiday classic was nearly shelved as a dud. I picture some exec sitting there frowning at Linus's pause or Schroeder's piano solo while families at home were falling in love. Personally, I love that it's not slick. It feels genuine, like the awkward silences at real Christmas dinners.
That the Christmas dinner done.
Christmas Eve, a time for family, a time...
Sometimes what feels wrong to the suits is exactly what hits the audience straight in the heart. Fact 5, no laugh track.
I always wait until January.
Television back then practically demanded laugh tracks. If you've ever rewatched old sitcoms, you know that canned chuckle after every line.
That, my young gluttons for punishment, was Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Forgive us, Charlie. Thank you, students.
But when someone suggested adding it here, Schulz walked out of the room. That was his absolutely not. And thank goodness he did. Without fake laughter, the pauses and silences feel honest. I remember watching it as a kid and feeling like the characters were talking directly to me, not a studio audience. The quiet moments, like Charlie Brown's sighs, sink deeper that way. Try picturing Linus's speech with giggles underneath. It would have ruined it. Sometimes silence is more powerful than any sound effect. Schulz knew that, and he was right. Fact 6. They used real kids, even ones who couldn't read.
May I help you? I'm in sad shape.
Today, studios hire polished child actors. Back then, the Peanuts gang really were kids. Some were so young they couldn't read their lines.
Adult actors to do kid voices, as was the standard practice. Schulz, Mendelsohn, and Melendez all decided that they should go out and get actual kids.
The crew had to feed words to them, half a sentence at a time. That's why the voices sometimes sound choppy, uneven, even hesitant. But isn't that what makes it beautiful? As a kid, I didn't notice. It just felt real, like kids I knew were part of the show. There's a raw honesty in those stumbles. It's the opposite of today's squeaky clean productions. I still smile hearing Sally or Pigpen pause awkwardly.
As a special treat, I have also invited the owner of the nest.
It feels like childhood caught on tape, not scripted perfection. Fact 7. Sally's voice was racing a loose tooth.
You write it and I'll tell you what I want to say.
Kathy Steinberg, who voiced Sally, was just 6 years old, and she had a wiggly tooth about to fall out. They rushed her into the booth, recording lines quickly before her speech changed. Listen closely. You can almost hear that front tooth hanging on for dear life.
My report today is on dinosaurs. The largest dinosaur that ever lived was the bronchitis.
To me, that's what gives her voice such a sweet, imperfect charm. It's not professional polish. It's a kid being a kid. I still remember my own front tooth falling out right before Christmas photos.
Wish you Merry Christmas. It seems so long since I could say Sister Susie sitting on a thistle. Gosh,
Leaving that gap in every picture. Hearing Sally's little lisp feels like looking back at those snapshots. Messy, funny, and real. Fact 8. Made in about 6 months.
If I make a revolving motion with my hand, it means pick up the tempo.
Here's the kicker. The team behind this special had never made a half-hour animated program before. Charles Schulz wrote the story.
I'm drawing it because I'm having a good time. Unfortunately, this does not happen every day.
Producer Lee Mendelsohn wrangled the pieces.
Sat down and stared at each other for a few minutes, trying to think what in the world we were going to come up with for Christmas.
And Bill Melendez directed the animation.
Marky was an incredible, creative, not just a cartoonist, he was a storyteller.
They had about 6 months to pull it off. Think about that. Tight budget, no experience, brand new territory. And yet somehow they created one of the most enduring specials ever.
Okay, that is the last time you are gonna pull that crap. You hear me?
Yes!
Do you hear me?
I get tired just putting up Christmas lights in one afternoon, so imagining these guys inventing a new kind of TV magic in half a year blows my mind. Sometimes not knowing the rules lets you break them, and what a gift that turned out. Fact 9. Unorthodox jazz score.
You gotta have respect for your director.
Most cartoons had bouncy, predictable music, but Vince Guaraldi and his trio brought in cool jazz.
And a few weeks later, he called on the phone. He said, I got to play this song for you. I said, well, I'd like to hear it in person. He says, I got to play it before I forget it. It was going to have an enormous impact on the show. It was so right and so perfect.
And has become one of the most familiar pieces of jazz music possibly ever.
Imagine Christmas carols mixed with smoky piano riffs, upright bass, and gentle drums. Linus and Lucy, skating, and Christmas Time Is Here weren't just background. They became part of our holiday DNA. I remember hearing Linus and Lucy spill from the TV while my mom baked cookies, the smell of cinnamon filling the house. The music felt grown up, yet still playful, like we kids had been invited into the adult world for a moment. No wonder those tracks keep playing on the radio every December. It wasn't traditional, but that's why it lasts. It captured the quiet, slightly messy magic of the season. Fact 10. It premiered as a ratings monster.
We all know that Christmas is a big commercial racket.
Now that Christmas time is here, remember at General Electric.
For something CBS thought would flop, it sure proved them wrong. On December 9th, 1965, nearly 15.5 million homes tuned in. That's about 45% of all TVs at the time. Families gathered around bulky sets, rabbit ear antennas adjusted just right to watch a sad little tree turn into something beautiful. My parents told me everyone at school was talking about it the next day. That kind of shared moment doesn't happen much anymore. It instantly became a holiday tradition, rerun year after year. What started as a risky project became one of the most beloved specials in television history. And every December since, it still draws us back, reminding us of the night Charlie Brown proved simple and sincere can beat flashy any day. Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, 1966. Fact 1. Viewers mailed candy because of I Got a Rock.
I got 5 pieces of candy. I got a chocolate bar. I got a quarter. I got a rock.
I Got a Rock. Poor Charlie Brown mutters that line, and you feel it deep. But audiences in 1966 thought it was downright cruel. After the broadcast, candy poured into the producers' offices, sent in by real families who wanted to make things right. Imagine that, viewers mailing sweets to a cartoon character.
Dear Great Pumpkin, I'm looking forward to your arrival on Halloween night.
They're back, all the little Peanuts characters, in a happy Halloween special, filled with ghosties and ghoulies and things that go bump.
As a kid, I remember almost feeling guilty opening my Halloween bag when I saw him hold that sad little rock. It wasn't just a gag, it touched a nerve. The world felt unfair sometimes, and Charlie Brown captured that perfectly. The funny part? Instead of sinking the special, the moment made it unforgettable. Every year since, when kids dump candy bags on the floor, someone always says it, I got a rock. Fact 2, the original 66 airing had sponsor signs. Back in the 1960s, TV wasn't shy about shoving sponsors into the show itself. The first airing of Great Pumpkin opened with Coca-Cola and Dolly Madison snack cakes plastered on screen. You'd see Linus in the patch 1 second, and then boom, a Coke logo.
Leo's Lunchorama, speak to me. Meatball and anchovy on rye and a bottle of Coca-Cola.
Later versions snipped them out, almost erasing that little slice of television history. Watching today, you'd never guess Snoopy's big Halloween debut had a side gig as a soda salesman. I remember Dolly Madison cupcakes at the corner store, orange wrappers, thick frosting, so it almost feels fitting. Still, there's something jarring about combining the innocence of pumpkin patches with corporate plugs. If you dig into old film transfers, you can spot those lost sponsor cuts like ghosts hiding in the reels. Fact 3, Snoopy's first TV flight as the WWI Flying Ace.
Whatever happened to the World War I Flying Ace?
Before Great Pumpkin, Snoopy mostly stayed grounded. But here, at Halloween of all times, Schulz gave him wings. Bill Melendez animated Snoopy's doghouse, transforming into a Sopwith camel, soaring over the skies in a wordless mini-war film. Kids sat down expecting candy and costumes, and suddenly they got a WWI Flying Ace dodging imaginary bullets. I'll never forget the sound effects, the crack of gunfire, the whistle of wind mixed with the silence of no dialogue. For a moment, it stopped being a cartoon and became pure cinema. As a boy, I remember trying to straddle a broom in the backyard, pretending it was a fighter plane. That scene gave kids license to dream, and Snoopy his most iconic role. Fact 4, Linus never sees the Great Pumpkin.
Would you like to sit with me in a pumpkin patch on Halloween night and wait for the Great Pumpkin?
The entire show builds on Linus's unwavering faith. He writes letters, waits in the cold, and believes with his whole heart. But the payoff? A cruel fake-out. The Great Pumpkin turns out to be Snoopy's silhouette. Linus faints, dreams shattered, and wakes up to humiliation. I remember watching that as a kid thinking, that's it? No pumpkin? It felt unfair, but also real, like the world doesn't always deliver the magic you expect. Adults later praised the honesty of it. Kids felt the sting too, because we've all been there, hoping for something that never comes. That's why the scene lingers. The Great Pumpkin never appears, yet every year we wait with Linus all over again, secretly wishing this time it will. Fact 5, the football fake-out appears for the first time.
Accused of taking part in a rumble? When did you pick up that language?
Here's where a comic strip gag made TV history. Lucy convincing Charlie Brown to kick the football and yanking it away at the last second had been around in newspapers since 1952. But Great Pumpkin was the first time it hit the screen, and boy did it land. Even animated, you could feel Charlie Brown's frustration as he goes flying. I remember laughing as a kid, but also wincing because it felt so familiar. Who hasn't trusted someone only to get tricked? That's the genius of Schulz. He made heartbreak funny. Today, the football gag is as iconic as the pumpkin patch itself. It started here on a Halloween night with Charlie Brown flat on his back and Lucy smiling like she won the world. Fact 6, Schroeder trolls Snoopy with real WWI song.
Ugh, my lips touch dog lips!
During the Halloween party, Schroeder sits at his piano and plays actual World War I tunes. It's a long way to Tipperary, pack up your troubles. Snoopy, still in Flying Ace mode, reacts like a veteran, dancing, laughing, then suddenly breaking into tears. It's a surprisingly emotional scene in a kid's cartoon. I remember tilting my head, not fully understanding as a child, but feeling the weight of it anyway. Watching as an adult, it hits differently. You realize it's a moment of grown-up sorrow hidden inside a goofy Halloween special. Snoopy, usually the comic relief, becomes the emotional center for a moment. That piano scene proves why Peanuts resonated across generations. It spoke to kids and adults at the same time, often in the same breath. Fact 7, Charlie Brown's mangled ghost costume.
She's kinda dumb, so she had to create a list to remember all the people she hated.
Only Charlie Brown could mess up a ghost costume. While the other kids wear neat white sheets with 2 eye holes, he cuts way too many. The result? A ghost full of holes. It looks sad, but it's hilarious. That gag actually came from a Schulz strip idea years earlier. And it became the perfect symbol of Charlie Brown's luck. always trying, always failing, yet somehow endearing. I still remember throwing a sheet over myself as a kid and my mom saying, "Don't cut too many holes, you'll end up like Charlie Brown." That image stuck. It's one of the simplest jokes in the special, but also one of the most relatable. We've all had those close enough Halloween costumes that just didn't quite work. Fact 8. Sally's actress was rushed around a loose tooth.
But maybe there is a great lumpkin.
Here's a fun behind-the-scenes bit. Kathy Steinberg, the voice of Sally, had a tooth ready to fall out. The producers panicked, worried her speech would change overnight. So they rushed her into the booth and had her record all of Sally's lines in one sitting. That's why her voice sounds raw, imperfect, but totally genuine. Listening closely, you can almost hear that wobble in her tone. As a kid, I didn't know it, but it always made her sound real, like a little sister talking for real, not a polished actor. I remember losing a front tooth right before school pictures, and that awkward grin lived in every photo. Sally's loose tooth gave her voice the same kind of sweet, imperfect authenticity. Fact 9. It debuted as a ratings juggernaut.
The Great Lumpkin knows which kids have been good and which kids have been bad.
When Great Pumpkin first aired on CBS October 27, 1966, it wasn't just a success, it was a smash. Nearly half the TVs in America tuned in. Families sat cross-legged on shag carpet, bowls of popcorn nearby, waiting to see if the Great Pumpkin would appear. That kind of audience share is almost unthinkable now. My parents told me it was all anyone at school talked about the next day: Linus's patch, Snoopy's flight, poor Charlie Brown's rock. It didn't just make ratings, it cemented the idea that Halloween deserved its own TV special. From then on, networks scrambled to create holiday events, but none ever quite matched the magic of that first night when pumpkins, costumes, and crushed hopes filled America's living rooms. Fact 10. From network staple to Apple era.
You've heard about fury in a woman's scorns, haven't you?
No, not really.
For decades, Great Pumpkin was a Halloween TV tradition. CBS, then ABC, aired it every year, and it became as reliable as trick-or-treating. But times changed. In 2020, Apple TV Plus snapped up the rights, and suddenly the patch wasn't on free TV anymore. Fans were furious. Halloween without Charlie Brown felt wrong. A brief PBS deal in 2021 softened the blow, but now it mostly lives on streaming, offered free for short windows. I remember feeling strange not flipping channels and stumbling into Linus's pumpkin speech like clockwork. It's a reminder of how traditions shift, once something millions shared together, now tucked behind a subscription. Still, no matter the platform, the magic of that sad little rock and that faithful pumpkin watch survives. Charlie Brown, Thanksgiving, 1973. Fact 1, Woodstock eats turkey, and the producer objected.
He must think I'm the most stupid person alive.
At the end of the special, Snoopy serves up a turkey, and then shockingly, Woodstock, a bird, sits down and eats it. For years, fans joked about the bird-eating bird scene, but producer Lee Mendelson wasn't laughing. He admitted it bothered him so much he tried to cut it. In some airings, that bite was even gone. Personally, I remember blinking hard when I first noticed it. Something about that tiny yellow bird carving into drumsticks felt off. But the scene quietly returned in later versions. Today, people debate it with a smile, but it's still one of the strangest Peanuts choices. Leave it to Schulz and company to slip in a moment that makes you laugh, cringe, and scratch your head all at once. Fact 2, Franklin's seating sparked a modern controversy.
I just feel bad because I ruined everyone's Thanksgiving.
Watch closely at the Thanksgiving table. Franklin, the only black character, is seated alone on one side in a lawn chair while everyone else has proper seats. At the time, nobody commented, but decades later, viewers flagged it as problematic. Schultz's widow explained Charles wrote the show but wasn't on set for staging. Still, that single image sparked debate, think pieces, and even adjustments in later Peanuts productions. I remember seeing it on TV in the 90s and not thinking much about it, but now looking back it feels awkward. It shows how little details can mean more as times change. The fact that modern specials went out of their way to balance things shows Peanuts was still teaching lessons, even unintentionally. Fact 3, Vince Guaraldi actually sings. The sound of Peanuts usually means Guaraldi's piano, but in Thanksgiving we get something rare. Vince actually sings. The funky little tune Little Birdie plays as Snoopy gets to work, with Guaraldi's voice leading the brass-heavy groove. It's jarring at first, soft jazz suddenly giving way to a playful vocal. I remember being a kid and thinking, wait, that's not the normal music, but the track sticks with you. In fact, the 50th anniversary re-release highlighted this song because it was such an unusual moment in the Peanuts soundscape. It gave the special a unique flavor, like seasoning the holiday meal with something unexpected. Guaraldi didn't sing often, but when he did, it turned a simple cartoon scene into a jam. Fact 4, Snoopy's duel with a folding lawn chair.
What did you expect? A turkey card?
One of the funniest and strangest bits in Thanksgiving isn't dialogue at all. It's Snoopy wrestling a folding lawn chair. He pulls, pushes, and wrestles until the chair seems alive, refusing to cooperate. Watching it feels almost like a silent comedy short. As a kid, I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my soda because Snoopy's frustration looked so human. Everyone's had that moment, fighting stubborn furniture or a stuck lawn chair in the garage. The sequence goes on longer than you'd expect, but that's what makes it gold. It's pure slapstick, a reminder that Snoopy often carried whole scenes without words. Even now, clips of that chair fight circulate online, proving you don't need dialogue to deliver a Thanksgiving laugh. Fact 5. Lucy appears only to yank the football.
And the biggest, most important tradition of all is the kicking off of the football.
Lucy opens the special with her classic trick, convincing Charlie Brown to kick the football, only to yank it away. But here's the twist. After that gag, she's gone. No dinner scene, no commentary, no snarky lines. For such a central character, her vanishing act feels strange. I remember as a kid waiting for her to pop up again. She never did. It's almost as if she wandered off after getting her laugh. In a way, it works. Her absence lets other characters shine, especially Peppermint Patty and Marcy. But it's odd when you think about it. Lucy, the queen of sarcasm, only shows up to humiliate Charlie Brown one more time, then disappears like a Thanksgiving ghost. Fact 6. The kids' menu: toast, popcorn, and jelly beans.
I can't cook a Thanksgiving dinner.
Charlie Brown can't cook. So when Peppermint Patty invites herself and half the neighborhood over for dinner, he does the best he can. The feast ends up being toast, popcorn, pretzels, and jelly beans. As a kid, I remember thinking it was the coolest dinner ever. Who wouldn't want candy and popcorn instead of dry turkey? But adults saw the joke: Charlie Brown's helplessness in the kitchen. It became one of the most memorable visuals of the special. The mismatched plates, the piles of toast, and kids munching jelly beans at the table. It all felt so imperfectly real. To this day, some families even recreate the Peanuts meal as a fun Thanksgiving tradition. Sometimes simple chaos makes the best memories. Fact 7. First original script for a Peanuts special.
That's pretty good. Come on inside. We need some help with the food.
Most early Peanuts specials pulled directly from Schulz's comic strips, but A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving was mostly new material. Aside from the football gag at the start, the storyline wasn't in the papers. That gave it a fresh feeling, almost experimental. Watching it, you can tell the pacing is different, with longer scenes like Snoopy's chair fight or the drawn-out dinner prep. As a kid, I didn't notice. It just felt like another fun holiday story. But looking back, it was a turning point. The team wasn't just adapting Schulz's work, they were creating new stories for TV. And winning over audiences proved the characters could thrive outside the four-panel world. Thanksgiving marked the moment Peanuts grew beyond its strip roots. Fact 8. It won an Emmy for Schulz.
Guests will be here pretty soon, so please get ready to help serve them.
The Thanksgiving special didn't just win over families, it won over critics too. At the 1974 Emmy Awards, it took home the prize for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Children's Programming, awarded directly to Charles Schulz. It was also nominated for Outstanding Children's Special. Think about that. A story about jelly beans and toast was Emmy Gold. I remember flipping channels as a kid and being surprised these simple cartoons were so respected. It showed that behind the gags and slapstick was real artistry. Schulz captured the awkward, heartfelt mess of childhood and wrapped it in holiday spirit. Winning that award sealed Peanuts as not just pop culture, but television history. A cartoon had become a cultural institution. Fact 9. From CBS to ABC to Apple TV+.
It's your own fault, because you're so wishy-washy.
Like the Christmas and pumpkin specials, Thanksgiving bounced between networks over the decades. It premiered on CBS November 20th, 1973, then moved to ABC, airing yearly until 2019. In 2020, Apple TV Plus took exclusive rights, though PBS aired it briefly in 2021 for free. Families used to count on it like clockwork, grab leftovers, turn on the TV, and there it was. I still remember catching it by accident some years, flipping through channels and landing on that familiar jazz and toast-filled table. Losing it to streaming felt like losing a little tradition. It's a reminder that TV has changed, but for many, the spirit of gathering around Charlie Brown at Thanksgiving still feels timeless. Fact 10. The music got a full archival release.
What kind of a Thanksgiving dinner is this? Where's the turkey, Chuck?
The soundtrack for Thanksgiving was long overlooked. But in 2023, the 50th anniversary brought something special. Multi-track session tapes were remixed and released, including unreleased cues from Vince Guaraldi's funky clavinet and brass score. For fans, it was like rediscovering a piece of the holiday. I remember always humming Little Birdie without even realizing it was Guaraldi singing. Hearing the cleaned-up tracks decades later felt like opening a dusty box of records in the attic. The music wasn't just background, it was the heartbeat of Peanuts. The re-release gave longtime fans a chance to hear it in full color, reminding us how much jazz shaped the feel of these specials. The sound of Thanksgiving is popcorn popping, toast browning, and Guaraldi's piano rolling.